Hey, Pro Organizers, it's Melissa, and we are back with our second conversation with Kim Snodgrass of Rustic Home Organizing. And if you have been here for more than 2 seconds, you know I've been interviewing Kim every year since she brand new started her business out. This is her year two recap, what she has learned. This is part two. So if you missed the first part, go back just one podcast. And then if you missed the first two parts, you can just go back a couple of podcasts. The entire library is right up there for you. But Kim has so much wisdom to share, and one of the things that I love is that Kim has stayed really flexible about her business. She has changed when she needed to, she has pivoted when she needed to, she has admitted her mistakes. She has a lot of great lessons for people, whether you are brand new starting out or whether you've been in business for a long time. I always enjoy catching up with Kim. She has a great sense of humor, she's a great person, and more than anything, she loves to help other organizers really realize that this is a business that they can start and that they can be a part of. One of the stories that I loved of Kim was she got a dozen eggs as one of her first payments, and then she moved up to having multiple $10,000 plus months. And that's a part of a journey in organizing. Just reminding you that you can start small and then end up big. There are so many ways that you can work this business to make it work for you and to achieve your goals. All right, let's get started with my second conversation with Kim. One of the things we talked about last year when we did this was like, what are the perceptions you had your first year that you went, "Oh, that was hilarious that I thought that." Like, did you have anything this year that was kind of like the from a year ago that you're like, man, that was
Yes. First of all, my very first client ever, I think you got a phone call about 4 hours into it.
probably
I was so in over my head. I had no idea I knew I know how to organize. I've always known how to organize, but I did not know what time was involved. You know, you think, okay, everybody's doing 4-hour sessions, 6-hour sessions. Great. I'm going to do your kitchen in 4 hours.
to your basement in
Wrong.
3 hours. Right.
No, that's not it. And now I've pulled everything out and now I don't know what to do.
Right.
So I have learned how to look at the project objectively and be able to communicate realistically on what we're talking about time wise.
One of the common things that happens in our Inspired Organizer group where we have our coaching thing where you can ask any question you want. One of the very common things with newer organizers is like, this kitchen took me 12 hours. Am I a bad organizer? Or like, do I not know how to organize? And everybody will be like, no, girl, that's how long a kitchen takes. It just takes a long time. Like that
No,
misperception of how long
yeah.
things take, that's very real.
I mean, I quote 16 hours minimum now for kitchens. They're a beast. You figure out what, like bathrooms, those are like black holes of
Terrible.
stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely have learned how to look at a project. It's really hard to estimate time. I'm right with you on that. I know you say that all the time. I'm getting better about giving a range because there are some people that it's like, well, if it can't fall into this range, then I just don't want to do it.
Huh.
So I'm really, really trying hard to focus on a range. Product is another obstacle that first year. Product is tough.
Yeah.
Product is really, really tough to learn, to get over that learning curve of product and knowing what is actually good and what isn't, and what's garbage and what isn't useful. I mean, some of the systems that I see in place for clients, there's no way they're going to be able to keep it up. There's just no way. And that's too bad. So that I've also learned how to realistically approach. So when you've got the busy mom with 3 boys and can barely keep things going that has their own business, the last thing you're going to do is show them how to roll towels and file fold.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
going to come up with a system that will sustain itself. And so learning how to adjust, it's not something that just happens overnight. You can be the most amazing organizer in the entire world, but learning how to adapt to other lifestyles it takes time. And I'm feeling a lot more confident in that arena.
I think being flexible and being able to give a lot of different idea and being able to look around a house and be like, "Wow, I can't do the same system that I did for the person last week because
Mm-mm. Yeah.
it's different. This is a whole different ball of wax."
Yes. I've also learned that truly, with the exception of some pantries, because there are some that are pretty much the same, like the 1990s houses, all of the same pantries around here,
Yeah.
is making sure I set the expectation that this is a two-part job.
Yeah.
We're going to do this. one day, and then a week later, we're going to go ahead and put the product in. Whereas before, I was trying to get it all done in one day. I would go buy $1,500 worth of product that I was hoping would all work. And then I found myself having to just come back to swap out a couple pieces. So I've now wasted that time because I'm not charging them for that. That learning curve, giving myself a little bit of grace time to allow for product implementation on that final stage. And then I don't use as much product as I did in the beginning. I'm learning how to utilize as much as we can within the house, and then learning how to use the product that is actually product that is good, not just pretty. And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of clients that want that nice elevated look, and I will go for it and bang it out. But that going into each project not thinking that mindset
Mhm.
has been a shift for me as well.
What have you learned about clients, like working with, and it's not on a product front, but just like the clients that are coming to you now, have they changed a little bit too? Or do you have kind of the same type of people that,
I think I'm getting more long-term clients, whereas at the beginning, I had a few more people that wanted to dabble in it, more of the pantry, come do my bathroom. And I think a little bit of that had to do with the price point I was at.
Mhm.
And so now I have a little bit more of a consistent client, and I have figured out what my favorite things are, at least right now. And that took time too. That is definitely something that I didn't learn that first year, that took a whole second year to really learn what I enjoy, what caused me to want to throw up when I got home, and what caused me to be so excited that I was just like jacked and I couldn't stop talking about it. And I would sit on the couch with Chad every night going, oh my gosh, I just loved today. Like
yeah,
today was so amazing. And then I had those days where I came home and I was an emotional mess and frustrated, and like I hated everything about today. That did nothing for me. It overstimulated me. I soaked in all of that person's energy and it just like dropped me to the floor. And so I'm learning how to navigate those consultations with clients and looking for those, I don't want to call them red flags, but just things that just might not fit for me.
we can call them yellow flags. Have you started to get better about saying no? Like, do you say no to people or do you refer them out to other people? Like, if you have one of
I
those yellow
refer.
flags, okay.
Yeah, yeah, I do. I've referred out, and I've also told people I don't think they're ready,
Yeah.
because that's the case too. There are people that will think they're ready and they're not ready. You are
Yeah.
not ready. I know you're not ready. And this is why I don't think you're ready. And this is why I want you to work on. And then let's reconvene in a month and see where you're at.
How do those conversations go? Tell me a little bit more about.
I think they're pretty good. I had one that had a really tough time with it. She got pretty upset, but I held my ground. It was nothing personal, and she just wasn't ready. And it's the ones that think that because I'm coming in there and they're gonna book 4 hours, that everything's gonna be fine. I
Yeah.
have to let them know that is not, everything is not gonna be fine. And if we do, this is what you're gonna have to change. This is a mind shift. This is for those that are really knee deep in crap.
Yeah.
Now, it's not a mind shift for the woman that just wants a pretty pantry. That we don't have to have those same psychological questions and conversations, but the ones that you walk in and it is total disarray. And I'm not talking hoarders. I'm talking real life. Just
Just real life
majority,
chaos. Yeah,
real
right.
life chaos. 4 hours of my time for what you're trying to accomplish, and what I'm hearing from you isn't gonna work.
Right.
Sometimes it does, like we talked about. That person that's just like, "I just need help. Will you just like, I just need you to sit here with me and show me," that's a different story. But the one that wants you to come in and fix all the chaos in 4 hours, that's just not, it's not gonna happen. And so it has to be a, "I can do this, but it's gonna take a lot more than 4 hours, and it's gonna take you and I talking. It's gonna take conversations that I'm gonna have to have with your kids." I really like to talk to the kids one-on-one, from my mouth, not the mom, and the husbands. I like talking to the husbands. I like it when they start to warm up to me and I'm not this stranger walking around spending their money.
Bossy lady coming in with a bunch of
Y-
bins.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, I haven't had to do it. I think 3 clients I've had to do that, 3 of them. Two of them were like, you're right, you're right, you're right. And then one of them just wasn't really happy, but that's okay.
Yeah. And that's okay because the person that isn't happy, it's a hard conversation to have, but it would be a harder job to do if you just said, okay, and you ignored the feelings that you were having. It'd be
Yeah.
really,
And Melissa, I take pride on my Google reviews. That's another thing I
yeah.
work really hard on. I work really hard on my Google reviews. And I just want to tell everybody out there, it is not that difficult. And I pride myself on my 5 stars. And I will never ask for a review unless I think I'm going to get those 5 stars. So taking a job that I know is not going to end well is not going to help either one of us.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your Google review game. Like what do you have anything any magic solutions? Because I know a lot of people come to us and say like, I've asked my clients like a bunch of times and they're not doing it. And what's your magic sauce on that?
Here's my magic sauce. First of all, I think everybody, well, not everybody, majority of the people overcomplicate it. So
What?
there's,
Wait, I'm sorry. Are you trying to say that organizers overcomplicate things? That's the craziest thing I've ever
I know. So first of all, you know that I have had a wild roller coaster relationship with Dubsado,
Yes, I
and
do.
we are still dating,
Oh,
but
you're back
we are,
together.
yeah,
Oh,
we are dating. It's just casual.
okay.
Um,
Just casual.
it's
Not going to
very
get started.
casual. We are
Okay.
not like super deep.
You're not
Um,
exclusive.
yeah, it's friends with benefits, maybe. Um, so there's so many automations you can do. And I think automating an email to send out for a Google review is a big fat fail.
Okay.
So I do not do that. I send a text to my client, usually before I bill them. And it is, oh my gosh, I had so much fun. And well, first of all, I go to my Google business. I have copied the link.
A link.
Everybody has it on their Google business, whatever it's called now. Google, I don't know. I copy that link. It's in my notes on my phone. I text my client when the project is done. I tell them, and I'm always honest, I loved being in your home today. I was really proud of you for doing X, Y, and Z. And I am so excited to hear how it works for you. Make sure you let me know if there's anything you want tweaked, if there's anything you want to talk about. And I'm also going to put a link here for a Google review. And I always say Google is a necessary beast in my business, and it really helps people find me in the search where I land on the searches. And I would be so grateful if you would just do a quick review. You don't have to say much. One sentence is fine. And I got 30 reviews last year.
That's amazing.
Yeah, just off a text. I text every single one. Usually they do it immediately. Sometimes I have to I will never remind more than twice. After
Okay.
twice, they're not giving me a review, and it's not because they don't like me. It's just they're busy or they just don't want to do it.
That's the key point that I would like to make because I think a lot of organizers take it personally when someone doesn't do a review and they'll be like, well, they said they loved it. And they said it has nothing to do. Leaving a review is a very separate thing than whether they loved your work because they probably loved your work, but they might be not wanting to leave a review for 1,000 reasons. Maybe they don't know how. Even though you made it easy, they might still not know how. I'm just imagining a lot of people in my life that would be like, wait, what? Like, what? I don't understand. They would be
Mm-hmm.
very by this, right? Second thing is some people like you do have to put your name out there when you leave a review. Some people
Mm-hmm.
are interested in telling people that they had an organizer and letting that information out in the
Right.
world. Very realistic thing too. It also can just be it slipped their mind. Even though you texted them twice, it slipped their mind. And then you start to be like annoying. I have been on the receiving end. There was a service I used last year. They did a great job, by the way. It was a carpet cleaning service. They did an exceptionally great job. What they failed on is they spammed me so hard after asking me for a review that it made me not want to give a review.
Right.
And like nobody wants that. So just I like that. I like that philosophy of 2 times and then let it go.
Right. And I just think in this day and age with the phones and the texting, if and Google makes it easy to leave a review from your phone. They make
Yeah.
it really easy. So I have had the best luck with that. I have gotten no reviews off any emails I've sent. It's always been off the text. And I had one that was just not tech savvy, and she said, I won't do that, but you send my information to anybody that wants a verbal review and I will tell them. And I used that. I had one other person that wasn't savvy with the internet. And I said, if you want to talk to my other client, she would love to tell you about her experience. So I think getting Google reviews is important. I mean, don't we all? Don't we
Yeah,
all look at reviews? Don't we all go to
I
Amazon
do.
and look who has the 5 stars and 85,000? I mean, it's just like we've been trained to think that way. So the reviews are very, very, very important to me. A huge part of my whole process, and I will continue to do that. And I make little goals for myself, like, oh, I want to make sure I get 5, next month, or I'm going to get 2 right now. I'm going to reach out to 2 old clients. I'm just going to get 2 right now.
Yeah.
Just play little games with myself, but just don't overcomplicate it. It's so simple.
And again, I'm going to repeat myself. Don't take it personally if someone
Yeah,
doesn't do it. It's okay. My guess is that you had more than 30 clients last year.
I
There are
did.
clients that did not leave you a review, right?
Uh-huh.
That is okay. And you're not going like, wow, I'm a terrible organizer because no, we're going to be real, real happy. By the way, if you can get even 10 reviews, 10 total Google reviews, great. You do not need a million. You do not.
No, 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 absolutely not. Again,
Um,
it goes to find what you want to put your energy towards and just do it.
Tell me a little bit about what your first $10,000 a month felt like.
Well, it was very bizarre. I didn't see it coming. And then I saw it coming and I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually going to happen.
Mhm.
And there's still like 10 days left in the month. And I still have clients booked. And I remember that very first 5-figure month was like 11,000 and some odd dollars. And I'm the youngest of 3. My brother's 7 years older than me, and my sister's 5. And I still, to this day, when I'm around them, I feel like I'm 2. Like I
Mhm.
literally cannot get out of little Kimmy sister mode. I just can't. And I remember I showed Chad, I said, come look at my computer. This is where Deb Sato and I were dating that
Yeah.
day. That was
Okay.
that was a friends with
That was a
benefits
good day.
day. They have a little like chart thing I found. I'm like, oh my gosh, this shows me what I've done. And then I called my brother and
Oh,
I
that's
said,
sweet.
yeah, I said, guess what I did? And he was so excited for me, and it just was the coolest thing ever. It was very liberating for me after my journey that I've been through the last 7 years. I can feel it as almost like a hit, adrenaline hit. Like I was
Yeah, it's
like,
dopamine. So,
I'm gonna I'm gonna do this again. And I
yeah,
did it again.
it
And
again.
then I did it again. And then I decided that I wanted to just do a monthly dollar goal that I
Mhm.
never even thought was achievable. And it's going to be a challenge this year for sure. I'm going to have to work really hard for it. And there might be some months that might be a little bit lower, but we'll make up for the other months. But as an average, it's double what my first and second year I wanted to make every month. So,
Yeah. When I remember when we first talked a really, really long time ago, you're like, here's what I have to cover. I have to cover, and you had a certain amount of money. You're
yeah.
like, I have to cover this $2,500 a month. That is my key. You wanted to make more than that, but that was your
Hmm.
number. And then you
Yeah.
realize, I just think that all of us have this point where we realize like our goals can be bigger. And yeah, there are, again, trade-offs for that, or your reality might not work with that, but you can.
Yes. Yes, my first year, I think I said it was $4,800 a month is what would just feel really good to me. And I know somebody listening to this might be like laughing at that dollar amount because it's so low compared to what they make, or that could be
Or it
something
might be
so big.
4 times as
But
high. Yeah,
yes,
sure.
but again, I refuse to hide talking about money because it's just something that I think we need to do too as women. But my now current goal is $8,400 a month is what I need this next year. But also I have one in college. And so a chunk of that goes to college. And then I have one getting married that I am walking down the aisle.
Oh,
And
I love that.
and so I'm giving her some money for the wedding as well. So
Yeah.
there's those, and then I am building that studio. So that this year that number is slightly inflated. I won't do that to myself every year. Give me such a high number that I work myself to the bone. So I can shift that number from year to year. But this year, yeah, it's a little bit high. I'm gonna have to work really hard, but so far we're doing good.
Sure. Well, so I'm reading one of our texts. And this was when you were in one of your not so spectacular times. It was after all the good stuff you had, November, you have already said was a little tough. And you said, and I directly quote, I will say, in the past, this hiccup would have made me drop my rates and bow down to whatever the client wanted just to make some money. I've been scared to raise my rates and set boundaries with my existing clients, but I'm seeing a trend with all of them. It's time to take back control. And so this was actually, I think, like a major breakthrough moment of you of going like, no, I'm staying the course and I have these goals that I want to reach and I can't sacrifice that because I'm having a momentary situation.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you for reminding me of that moment. And yeah, I
Awesome.
did make some shifts. I do take a deposit now. If you book more than one day with me, I take a deposit. It is not the entire amount. I take a $200 per day deposit. And now I take, if product is involved, I take a 100% deposit 2 weeks before product install of what we are estimating. So if I say I think it's going to be $600 to $800 in product to do your pantry, I take a $800 deposit to go towards product. Anything above that, or I didn't, if the product was only 600, I just put it towards the hourly that needs to be due. So those were a couple of my changes, and then I did raise my rates, and I love it. I feel so much better about it. So much better about it. Carrying the cost of the product, that was a tough one I did.
Yeah.
I did that for 2 years, and there was a lot of juggling, and I don't recommend that unless you have a really good streamlined system. I did not, and I think I ate a lot of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are just some changes that I made that just felt good. They weren't major, but they
Yeah.
felt good. And I did it at the right time. That's another thing that I really am proud of myself. I have slowly progressed into being a little bit more, my boundaries a little bit more strict, but I did it in my time. I didn't do it right off the shoot where I felt uncomfortable with them. I did it when the time was right.
This is another thing that I like to remind people a lot in this conversation, I think really proves it is you do not have to decide on day one everything you're going to do. You can
Mm-mm.
change it. You can change it to you change your pricing every 5 minutes, it seems.
I do. I
So
might even go on there today and change
right.
it. So don't
But
put an inquiry today if you want to hire me.
but you have made the changes that fit with who you are and where you are at that point. And that has actually, I think, helped your confidence is realizing that, oh, I can change this. I can change it, experiment with it, see what happens. I can switch it back or I can double down on it. There are a lot of options, and that flexibility, I think, has made you be able to be successful.
Yes, absolutely.
Big deal. Tell us a little bit about your favorite client that you've worked with this year.
I always share that I'm on a podcast, so a lot of my clients might hear this. So none of you are allowed to take this personally.
Oh boy.
I love you all, but this year I was able to work with a couple ladies in their 70s downsizing, and the stories and the humor and the life experiences that they share and the stories behind some of their things that we go through, and just how they can laugh so many things off and share so much wisdom. I would do that all day long.
I love it.
Absolutely my favorite is to sit there for hours and go through their things with them. Just so rewarding, and they have so much appreciation for me. So much appreciation. The things they say when I leave, life changing. I couldn't have done this without you if it wasn't for you. And I mean, those are things that we all need to hear.
Oh, for sure.
So definitely my 70-year-old ladies are my favorite.
Oh, I love that. I think there's something special, and sometimes it can be really hard, but I think there's something extra special when you help someone downsize because there's some things wrapped up in that, right? Like, there
Mhm.
is mortality wrapped up in that, and there is, the path of life and the journey and all of those things. But it is really special for them to be able to go through their things and have that timeline moment and that you're a part of that. Like, I think that's a real gift of what we do is people invite us into some pretty personal parts of their lives. I've organized a lot of people's photographs and things like that. And I think sometimes those are even the more personal things that you really see someone's story from beginning, middle, and end. And I think it's amazing.
Yeah, seeing these ladies at, I'm sitting in front of them and they're in their 70s and they're showing me pictures of them at 16 with their
Yeah.
friends, these old photos. It's so cool.
Yeah.
So cool to see them in a whole different light.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, and I think that's another example. Like when I think about one of the projects that I've had that makes me feel like what you're describing, that's an example of I just said yes to something that I had no idea how I was going to accomplish. And I just figured it out. It was like this huge
Hmm.
digitizing, thing. And I'm like, I'm so grateful that I said yes to that because, and there might be people who are like, oh, I don't really do senior downsizing. Maybe you should try it because you might end up deciding it's your
Oh,
favorite thing you've ever done. Right.
yeah. And especially for the solo organizers, because they don't want the teams of people in, they can't handle that.
What kind of entrepreneur do you think you want to be this year?
I want to continue to grow in my confidence. I want to be a little bit more financially conscious
Okay.
of making sure I'm not a hobby business. I really truly don't know. I don't think I'm a hobby. I'm trying not to be a hobby business, but I understand it's really important to look at your financials to see where you're at because I definitely don't want to waste money. But this year is really important for me to create strong relationships with more women owned businesses in my local area. It's very, very, very important to me. It's a very passionate part of who I want to be as a business owner. I don't know if that's really going to make me any money, but that's not what it's all about all the time. I would say that is my ultimate goal this year. It's not so much having to work so hard on finding all the clients, even though I do, but I can do that without overthinking it now at this point. So I really want to work on being a part of our community. It's important to me.
Yeah. So my word of the year is consistency. And I think that's one of the things that I can say about you, watching you over the last 2 years, is through all the peaks and valleys, you are extremely consistent about showing up, doing the work, knowing what work it takes, and knowing that there are some hard things that you have to do. There's hard work you have to
Mm.
do on yourself. We all have hard work to do on ourselves. And I just love having seen that consistency really pay off for you. And I remember I told you at the very beginning when you're like, where are they? Where are the clients? And I was like, there's going to be a magical day. There's going to be a magical day. And it happens to all of us where like all the pieces start to fit together and the wheels start to turn and like it starts to happen. But that happens through consistency. And you have done that work. And I think it's really awesome to see.
And if you would have told me that networking was going to be my main source of finding my clients, I would have laughed in your face. I think I had this picture of networking as going into a room with a bunch of people in high heels and suits, and that is not what networking has to be. It can be so many different things and it can be accomplished in so many different ways. So if that is something that interests someone else, figure out a way to make it work for you. I'm not always the one in the room that wants to talk, but on social media, I can go one on one messaging so simply and effortlessly. And that I realized was networking as well. There are lots of ways to network. And a lot of people, maybe they're going to get their business from Google Ads. I don't want to do Google Ads anymore. I did try them for a while and it just I don't want to do that anymore. I wish I was better at like the pretty marketing emails. That is one thing that I wish I just had an influx of money to be able to pay somebody to do that for me. But again, it takes that personal aspect away of my voice. So that is something I need to work on as well, is just tweaking my newsletter a little bit to make it a little more aesthetically pleasing, I think.
And 2 years ago, I guarantee would have not been saying like, oh, you would have been really, really, really scared of how do I do it and how do I put it together and like you wouldn't be talking about
Yes.
I need to make it pretty. You would have been worried about a lot of different other things. And so that is growth too. Like the things we're
Well,
working
yes,
on are different.
exactly. Well, the growth happened is that I can now get on there and I can piece together an email and I can get it sent out. no, all the links might not work. No, it might not be pretty, but I can do that. And now I can go on to a blog. Thanks to you. You have helped me with these two things, but I can go on and I can create a blog and I don't overthink the blog now. If I want to talk about something that really isn't even organizing related, I just do that. It's getting that consistency, getting yourself to do that action. And I think then it just will get better in time, just like my networking, just like my organizing. Everything will just get better in time.
Practice. And that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
So I know the answer to this, but could the person that I talked to in January of 2022 imagine the person that you are right now?
Absolutely not. No freaking way. If you would have told me at the end of year 2 what I would have done, like the money that I made in year 1 versus the money I made in year 2, and the growth in my confidence, and just people knowing about me, knowing what I do, the people I've met, the relationships I've made, starting to build a studio on my property. I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely nuts. Absolutely.
I absolutely love it. And I'm just excited to be along for the ride. And I appreciate that I have been
Mhm.
invited to be
Yes.
a neighbor in your roller coaster car.
Huge part of it.
Okay, so we're going to be doing this 20 years from now. Is that your solemn vow? Or maybe could we just promise on January of next year?
I think we're going to shoot for January of next year. And
Great.
I would love to do 20 years from now, but probably won't even be podcasts then. There'll be some other weird thing
Oh,
that
who
we do.
knows? Well, I'll be like, just be able to talk out into the universe or something.
Right. Yeah. But yes, for sure next year. After I probably apply for maybe 1 or 2 jobs during the year, but I will be here.
You have to have a yearly breakdown. It's fine. It's part of the process. One of the things that I am hoping gets invented in the next 20 years is some sort of teleporting, because I would love to be able to sit there and raise a glass of wine and cheers to you, because I am I have loved seeing your journey every second of it. So,
Thank you. And do you want to know something else really cool? I just realized the other day I missed my business
business
birthday
birthday?
because I was so busy.
That's awesome.
I know. Isn't that crazy? I would have never thought that I would actually, oh my gosh, I passed my business birthday and forgot about it.
It's your business birthday because you were
Yeah,
too
I was
busy.
too busy.
I
Yeah.
love that. I really am proud of you. You're
Thank
awesome.
you.
And I
I
really hope
appreciate
you're proud
it.
of yourself.
I am proud of myself. I know I have a lot I have to accomplish still, and I know that I have to keep moving. I can't
Yes.
slow down. And sometimes that overwhelms me, but I'll do it. I'll get there.
Yes, you will. All
Yeah.
right. The end.
Thank you.
Thank thank you. You're the best. Thank you so much to Kim for being such a good sport about this for the last 3 years. She has just done an amazing job of telling us all about her journey, and I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I did. And I certainly look forward to a few months from now doing it all over again with her. So thanks again to Kim. And Kim is a member of 2 of our coaching programs. She is in both our Inspired Organizer program, which is our business building course, and she is in Organizing Essentials. Organizing Essentials right now is open for enrollment. We are closing on Valentine's Day, February 14th. So I would absolutely love to have you join us. If you hit us up at proorganizerstudio.com/links, or go ahead and check the show notes, you will find out how you can sign up. It is $249 or for lifetime access for Organizing Essentials. And you get a wonderful community of women who are all about making sure that we are all being better organizers to make our clients happy. So check it out, and I will put the links in the show notes. Thank you again for joining us, and I hope that you have an absolutely fabulous day, organizers.